Okay, everyone, welcome to day 3 of the Women in Publishing Summit. We are talking about publishers today, one of the most important topics in a publishing conference. Our goal today is to give you an idea of what it's like working with a variety of different publishers. As you've probably heard through many of our conversations this year, the publishing world has really changed and it's really opened up to accommodate a lot of different authors across the scope of what you need. Some provide services, some provide partnership publishing, some provide traditional publishing. And we are going to try and educate you on what the difference is between different types and different names of publishing support entities out there. So I am joined by a group of wonderful women today. Some of them you've seen in some other presentations, and if not, you'll get to know them in this one. Okay, so we have Cynthia Fales. So by day, Cynthia, the analytical mastermind, is the founder and CEO of Launch Crate Publishing, a company that offers traditional publishing services, and a variety of courses, all created with the goal of helping writers launch their work into the world while retaining the portion of the profit that they deserve. She's also a very successful children's book author and is doing all kinds of fun things that she can tell you about more in detail as she's talking. Then we have Danielle Butler. She is a mompreneur with an affinity for writing and the arts. She believes in the power of words and the magic of imagination. Danielle published her first book, Mood Swing: 21 Days to Peace, Joy, and Freedom of Mind in 2014. Since then, Danielle's published works have expanded to include the creation of a children's book series inspired by her own 2 children, The Adventures of Zoe and Zachary, and a devotional from others. Danielle is also the founder of Evie Danny Books, an independent publishing and communications agency. Okay, so then we have Jennifer Bright. Jennifer Bright is the founder and CEO of Bright Communications LLC and Mimosa Publishing LLC, publisher of the popular Mommy MD Guides, books, and dozens of other books by expert authors and visionary brands. Jennifer is a publisher, editor, and writer with more than 25 years of publishing experience. She's contributed to over 150 books and more than 100 magazines. Her passion is helping parents raise healthier, happier families, and she helps authors do this as well. Okay, Kate Steed is an indie author and publisher. She founded Old Mate Media, a boutique publishing company in Sydney, Australia, with her husband, award-winning author and editor Chris Steed. Focusing on creating beautiful and professional children's and nonfiction books, she guides authors through the confusing landscape of the self-publishing industry, working beside them at every step. And you also have a traditional publishing company too, right? Did you nod?
Yes, so we do both.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have Rohan edit that part out, and I'm going to say, okay, she also offers traditional publishing opportunities as well through her company. Okay, we have Diane Windsor, who is the founder of the traditional publishing company Motina Books. Her mission is to publish books by and for mothers, giving women the chance to release their stories into the world. Diane writes, what just happened there? I don't know what just happened. Sorry, my screen just went away. I lost my last 2. Okay, I'm just going to start over with Diane. Diane Windsor is the founder of the traditional publishing company Motina Books. Her mission is to publish books by and for mothers, giving women the chance to release their stories into the world. Diane works hard to create a partnership with her authors throughout the publishing process. Diane works closely with every author every step of the way through editing, formatting, cover design, all the things. And you can find more about her at motinabooks.com. And finally, we have Angela Engel. Angela launched the Collective Book Studio she wanted to build because she wanted to build a different kind of publishing business, one that adhered to the author's vision every step of the way. Her experience in traditional publishing allows her to introduce beautiful books into the world, and she brings her passion for reading and sharing new ideas into every project. She has her company. Oh my goodness, let's see, sorry, I can't do that. That's a big paragraph. I was trying to grab one sentence that made sense to pull from there, but sorry about that. Let's see. I'm going to skip down to here. Okay. Angela has sold to key national and international retailers such as Amazon, Costco, Nordstrom, and Target, and became a sought-after industry sought after expert in the industry. Now with the Collective Book Studio, she has the opportunity to provide authors the support they need to get that book into the world from start to finish. And I am Alexa Bigwarf, hosted the Women in Publishing Summit. I also run two hybrid presses, Cat Biggie Press, Purple Butterfly Press, which is a children's book publishing company. And I have my small traditional press, Chrysalis Press. And then of course our company, Write, Publish, Sell, is what I describe either as a boutique publishing company or a self-publishing assist, where we do all the things that we would do as a publisher, but we do it, we self-publish the authors and maintain zero royalties. So this is your crew today, a lot of variety of experience. And I am going, since I just butchered their bios down into a smaller portion, I'm gonna allow everybody the opportunity to give you just a quick feel of what it is they really want you to know about their publishing house and style of publishing. So I'm gonna go in the order of my screen, which means Jennifer gets to start.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alexa. So my name is Jennifer Bright, and I'm the founding CEO of Bright Communications. We're a boutique service publisher near Allentown, Pennsylvania. We focus on helping expert authors and visionary brands bring their book dreams to life. We work with all different kinds of authors. We publish everything from children's books to memoirs, to business books, to novels. We work with authors of all stages. We love to meet an author who just has an idea. And we are also happy to work with authors who are farther along in the process. We have a wide range of publishing packages and options, and we really enjoy creating custom packages just for a particular author. A really confusing process. Thank you so much for your time. You can find us at brightcommunications.net.
Okay, wonderful. Cynthia.
Thanks for the invitation, Alexa. I'm so excited to join you and all of the other awesome publishers. This panel, listen, during their intros, I was like, ooh, that's awesome. I need to follow her. I need to follow her. I just need to follow everybody. So I'm really excited to share a little bit about what we do with Launch Crate Publishing, because we offer some options to, as our entire end goal is to flip the publishing industry on end in favor of creatives. So we offer both publishing services. So any point along the way, whether it's cover design, interior design, or editing services, you know, if you need help building your book and finishing your book, we help with that as well. But we also offer traditional publishing where we have flipped the royalty share 60-40, 60 in favor of the author and 40% coming back to the publishing house itself, so that we can continue to do the work to push and move the needle on the publishing industry so that creatives are being fairly compensated for what they're doing.
Awesome, I love it. All right, Diane.
Hi there. It's really exciting to be part of the Women in Publishing Conference again. I've done this a couple times and I really love being part of what you do, Alexa. Motina Books is a traditional publisher, and it really is our goal to help women get their story into the, into the bookstores, and where it might have been too difficult for them to do it on their own. So as a traditional publisher, we don't charge upfront for our services, but we do expect a certain level of manuscript completion before it gets to us. I think it's very important that authors do take the time to edit their manuscript as well as they possibly could, whether it's on their own or using a professional editor, which of course is the best route to go. It's, as you mentioned in the introduction, I really try to work very closely with my authors. It's a partnership. And that means that we're both invested in the marketing and in advertising and in getting reviews, and we both have some skin in the game. So instead of simply an author handing off a first draft of their manuscript to us, we do expect, both parties to put in the work to make it the perfect book possible to present to the world.
Perfect. I wasn't sure if you were going to say something else there. So I was like, I didn't want to jump in before that.
Sorry.
All right, Kate, welcome back. Welcome from Australia.
Thanks, Alexa. It's great to be here again. I run Old Mate Media with my husband, Chris, which is always fun, working with your partner. So we, as nearly everyone else does, we offer author services for people who want to self-publish, but we also have traditional publishing contracts. Our traditional publishing contracts are based on a collaborative model. So we look for authors that have complementary skills or products to us, and then we work with them to publish the book, and then we work on a 50-50 royalty split. So much like I think many of the other publishers, it is about a different model of traditional publishing, one where we work together with authors and we both put in our time and we both reap the rewards equally.
Excellent. Angela.
Hello, good morning for me. I'm in Oakland, California. I'm really delighted to be here. I've been following women in publishing for quite a while, actually, and I just am delighted to just sort of join this group of women and kind of talk publishing. So I have a career, as Alexa says, in for 20 years in traditional publishing. I started actually at Publishers Group West, which is now Ingram. And then I moved on to 10 Speed Press from now, which is part of Random House. And then I went to Chronicle Books. And then I actually also did business development with Cameron & Company, which is now part of Abrams. And in that time, I also did some consulting with Tra Publishing and worked with Simon & Schuster. And so really my background is completely traditional and in the lifestyle and gift and children's space. I really understand my lane. And so here at the Collective Book Studio, we publish in those categories. We don't do memoir and novel. We are, or science fiction. We are completely in that lifestyle, gift, and children's space. And we started as a packager. We had a project into Simon & Schuster, and we had other clients and really packaging is probably a different part of the panel. But for authors, what that means is we may love your work. We may decide to package it up with a different illustrator, and then we sell it off to a publishing house. And we still do that work. We do that work right now. Currently, we have a big project going into Costco. It's a proprietary project in children's big board books. And then what we will do is we will launch those into the trade in smaller versions in the fall, but that's an all in-house project that we maybe found the writer and we are the designers, and we are really from that model of what you would see Chronicle Books and Weldon Owen has been doing out here in California for a very long time. So who is the Collective Book Studio? We are a bunch of creatives. We are a bunch of publishing people that are from the traditional space that have formed a collective company. We are now in our year 3. We signed a contract with Independent Publishers Group out of Chicago, which also is owned by Chicago Review Press. And we launched a traditional publishing imprint, but the main difference is I call myself a partnership publishing house, meaning we don't print on demand. That's not what we do. We do our full color work, mostly print overseas, and we go into partnership with our clients. We develop and package that work. They share, like Kate shared, we do 50-50 splits also. They own the IP. That is a huge difference from us. We don't acquire. And then what we do is we ask for at least minimum a 3-year distribution deal, if not up to 10, depending on if we're owning inventory. And so the nice thing is we're not acquiring it for lifetime. They don't ever have to buy back the rights. And then when they launch with us, they're with us with IPG and our full services. So like Diane shared, my goal as part of I've been called a disruptor by Publishers Weekly, is giving access to the entire industry. And that entire industry means design, layout, marketing, sales, and distribution. So that's what I do. I'm so excited, Alexa, to be here and to really learn from all of you. I've already my wheels are turning of who I may come to us, and we might not be the right fit, but who else on this right here in this little Zoom room I can refer them to. So thank you for having us here.
Absolutely. And last but not least, we have Danielle.
Hey everyone, I'm super excited to be here at Women in Publishing Summit. Alexa, thank you once again. I am Danielle Butler, based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and I am the CEO and founder of Evie Danny Books. We are an independent publishing house supporting authors in their contributions towards devotionals and memoirs specifically. And our focus is promoting and amplifying the voices of people of color and others in underserved communities. So a lot of the work that we have done works with previously incarcerated individuals, people that are in industries where they may not have gotten the recognition that they have deserved, such as entertainment, also business and religious leaders.
That's really cool. Just listening to all of you, I think a couple of things come to mind here. The first is that how much the publishing industry has changed in the past 10 years. It's phenomenal. There's so many different ways that you can work with a publishing partner, with services, with all of these, different types of companies, going with from, the support all the way through the process, from a partnership, from sharing, all these, it's so different. And what we talked about before we started this conversation was that there still is a stigma out there for people who say you should never pay to publish someone. And I kind of want to address, to work with a publisher, I want to address that first and foremost, because I know that feeling is still out there. And it, stemmed from a time when there were, and there still exist companies who are out there operating just to make money and not at the best interest of the people, of their clients. But in the meantime, worlds of people, worlds of businesses have begun, because many of us, I think, started as authors, or Angela started as a person in the industry who saw a need to create a space for writers to help them get their books through the process that they either couldn't get traditionally published, it was taking too long to traditionally publish, or they didn't want to figure it out all on their own. So my next question is kind of to speak to that, like why you started your business. And I know you all mentioned kind of who you work with broadly, but I'd like for you to talk about who you want to work with specifically, why you started your company, and who you're looking for from our audience. Who would be the person from our audience that you would say, please contact me because you're going to be the great fit for my business? Jennifer.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I'm so pleased to answer this question, Alexa, because my background was actually at Rodale Press. And when I started my own company, it was to produce my own idea of series of books. And I have a great story to share, because my business partner and I were going down the traditional road. And one day, kind of the turning point for us was when our agent called and said, all right, ladies, I just need about 3 or 4 months on your proposal, and then I can start sending it to publishers. And we're like, 3 or 4 months? We want to be done. We don't want to wait 3 or 4 months for you to start sending this out to publishers, knowing that that's a long road. And so she called me that day and said, why don't we start our own company and publish this book ourselves, which we did. And then people started coming to us and asking us to publish. So we're service publishers. People hire us. They retain 100% of their rights. They get 100% of the profits directly. Nothing passes through our company. And what I have found is that this works really well for authors, because they're working so hard. They're retaining everything themselves. The type of author that normally comes to us is people who are anxious and in a hurry
They know that publishing can be a long road, a winding road, and they don't want to traverse that long and winding road. They come to me and they say, Jennifer, I have a speaking engagement in 2 months. I need my books then. Or, you know, I have this burning desire to help people. How quickly can we get this done? And so that's the advantage, I think, of doing the different types of publishing that we in this Zoom room do, is we help people to get their books out efficiently, effectively, and providing a great service.
Great. Cynthia?
Goodness. I think the people that we have served thus far tend to fall into probably 3 categories, and those are entrepreneurs. I'm based out of Kansas City, so we've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs to help them identify their niche area and to build content that helps to support the work that they're already doing. So we work with entrepreneurs. We work with a lot of educators who, as they have been in the classroom, have started to develop these ideas of ways that they can supplement their lessons that they're delivering to their students. So we work with them on children's books. And then we also work with a lot of people who are getting a little bit older or feeling the pressure of sharing their stories. So we've done a lot of work with people who are building memoirs or writing biographies or autobiographies. So those would be the ideal clients that we have that we work with. For those who are delivering memoirs, we have something that's a little bit different. It's called a modern memoir, where we will help them transcribe some of their stories, but also we build in QR codes to their books so that people can then scan it. And then essentially it's a conversation that you're having with them while you're reading this book, so they can hear the stories that you're sharing.
That's a great idea. I love incorporating cool technological effects like that. That's wonderful.
It's a lot of fun.
I don't think I've heard of anybody else doing that. Of course, I haven't looked for it, but that's really, really, is that a thing that's happening across the board now? Is that something you created? Don't know.
I don't.
You do it.
We started with this book. So I started with this book about my grandfather, and it was a way for me to capture his story in a way so that my cousins, there's 11 of us. He has 11 grandchildren. Only 3 were in the Kansas City area. And I was like, how can they hear the same stories that we're hearing at all of the family functions? And so that's how we started helping people to build memoirs like that.
Wow. I'm impressed. Diane?
Yeah, that is really cool. I love that. You know, what Jennifer mentioned about working with agents and about that it would take so long and everything, I've got kind of an agent experience of my own. My gosh, it must have been like 20 years ago, in the early 2000s. I always wanted to be an author and be published, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I wanted to be published, and I actually had 2 different agents representing me back in the early 2000s. And I was so sure that that meant I was going to get published, and then nothing ever came of it, nothing. And I still see people today trying to go that route, getting an agent and being published by one of the big houses. And what I've come to learn over time is that just being published by one of the big houses doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a success and that you're going to make a lot of money. It just doesn't mean that even the authors that are published by the big houses have their own mark, really have to, you know, pound the pavement and get the word out there themselves and build their following. And I've also come to realize that I think I'm a better publisher than a writer. I think that I really enjoy the aspects of taking somebody else's creativity and their work and turning it into, you know, the perfectly edited and formatted product. And that's kind of where I've decided to focus my efforts. I really enjoy working with women because just women over the years that I've met, they have a great story to tell and they just aren't sure how to get it out there. And like I said, it's so hard to go with this, you know, one of the big houses. And so that's kind of why I decided to focus on mothers and women. And at the time I started Motina Books, I was still a single mom, and I was meeting a lot of other single moms who wanted to do this. So that's kind of why I'm, focusing on that. But also, I just wanted to mention, I've been working recently with a New York Times bestselling author who's been around for, my gosh, the early 70s. Her name is Paris Afton Bonds, and she's a very well-established romance writer. And she used to be published by the big guys, and now she's working with a smaller press. And it's fun because we talk about the differences and in the way it used to be and the way it is now. And she really understands the fact that you have to be on Instagram, be on Facebook all the time, and pick your favorite platform and just do what you need to do, and that the author needs to spend some money on it too, right? You can't expect your publisher to be the one paying for all of the ads, the BookBug deals, everything. She's very good about all of that. So I think it's fun to work with different authors at the different stages of their careers like that.
Great, thank you. Kate?
Thanks, Alexa. My husband started the company initially when he started publishing his own children's books. So he has worked in magazine publishing for more than 20 years and had these ideas for children's books, and like many other people thought, I'll use my contacts and I'll see if I can get a traditional deal. And just it didn't go anywhere. And then he thought about it and went, well, I have all these skills, I can do this myself. And we actually started with interactive digital books on the iPad. So we started in a bit, and then we went from there to print. So we actually went in a bit of a reverse. And once we started doing that, we found there were a lot of authors at that time who the options were basically traditional or vanity, and there wasn't really anything in between. And so we became that in-between space, somewhere where you could get a professional, a book that would sit alongside a HarperCollins book, but you wouldn't, but you would own the rights, and that's where we started. And that is basically the authors that we work with now in the children's space. They want to have a book that they can pitch to bookstores. They want to have a book that they can sell commercially, and they're ready to make that investment. And then our traditional authors are ones that have a commercial proposition. So I think a lot of authors, when they start their traditional journey, don't think about the fact that they're trying to sell their book. And that's something that you really need to think about. If you want to have a traditional contract with a publishing company, that publishing company needs to make money on your book. So how is that going to happen? Do you have an audience? If you don't have an audience, how are you going to build that audience? What's really unique about your book? These are the things that that we look for in traditional contracts. And you know, in terms of the paying for publishing, I always say to people, look, you pay at some point in your publishing journey. So you either pay upfront and then you keep the royalties, or you hand over your project to someone else and you get a very small royalty, and then you're paying with every book that you sell because you're only getting a very tiny amount of money. So that's just something for authors to keep in mind, that it is a commercial process and you will pay at some point. So just think about when you want to make that payment.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to switch the order here a little bit because I have a very specific question for Angela at the end. So I'm going to go to Danielle first, and then we'll follow back up with Angela.
Absolutely. So I want to first talk about the idea of paying to be published. I hold a really strong view on it. And the idea is that we pay people for their expertise and their knowledge in every other area of life. We pay people to color our hair. We pay people to wash our cars. We pay people to do our taxes. And essentially you get what you pay for usually. And so I think that it's absolutely okay. You know, we pay for the products that we need to use in our home and our day-to-day life. And similarly, I believe that publishing is very much that way. And I second Kate's notion. The publishing company is a business like all of these others are businesses as well. And if it doesn't make dollars, it just doesn't make sense. So that's my little soapbox on that. As far as me getting started and who I serve, I was one of those authors that I just knew I was going to make it big when I went to a Vanity Press, and that was almost 7 years ago, and I have yet to see a check from them on any of my royalties. So yay! In terms of who I serve, I heavily focus on the stories of healing and resilience and accomplishments of people of color. So that is artists and creatives that are entrepreneurs who are on their journey or they've been on a journey. So sharing that so that others can come behind them. And then also leaders. So whether it's a motivational leader or a religious leader, someone who has something to say in a step-by-step format that says, hey, this is how you do this, or here's how you can get there. Here's some tools that you can absolutely use in your life. I try to make sure that I'm helping people either share their stories of triumph and resilience, or who are giving guidelines and steps along the way for healing and success and motivation and inspiration.
I love it. The reason I decided to switch the order here is because I wanted to wrap around everything that everyone has just said and into this picture that we all have different goals and motivations for why, how, when, and where we want to get our book published. And for some people, quickness is the answer. For some people, if they're speakers, they already have an audience or they have an event they need to sell a book at, like getting it done professionally and quickly is far more important than anything else. Having a platform where they can, share their healing, share their stories, do all of these types of things. There's different motivations for why we choose the routes that we publish. And the reason I put Angela at the end here is because for some people, we've had a lot of people talk about the business side and selling and those things. But for some people, the dream really is to be in every bookstore in America. Like they want to be, that is their motivating factor. This is what I want to do. And I think that what I've come to understand in the past decade of working in the publishing industry, that and y'all may not agree with me on this one, but really the only way to get books everywhere is through traditional distribution. And we have Angela here, who is a partnership model who has traditional distribution. So small and even hybrid presses can get traditional distribution, so that you shouldn't necessarily rule out a smaller hybrid press for that option, but it might be a question that you ask. And when you're considering your goals and when you're considering what you want to do, and, determine what's more important to me, being in every Barnes and Noble across America, or having my book that I can sell to my audience that already exists, that's going to buy it at a conference. Those are things to consider. So Angela, I wanted to ask you the last question on this round, and that is to explain a little bit, because for a lot of newer authors, they probably have no clue what do you mean traditional distribution, but not with a traditional publisher or with a traditional publisher. So I hand over to you to talk about that.
I know. I thank you. First of all, I really think I can geek out about distribution. Like this could be an entire room and day, you guys. Like literally, hopefully we could do that as like a 101 for authors.
Oh, we will. I'm already planning on doing
because like this can't take me 3 minutes. But okay, so I started at Ingram, guys, when I was 22 years old in marketing. And I rode the wave of the 4 agreements becoming a New York Times bestseller with Amber Allen. I was on the team. Then 9/11 hits, and we've got a company called Seven, a publishing house out of New York. Tiny one, amazing. 7 stories. I think now they're distributed by Random House. Noam Chomsky's 9/11, New York Times bestseller. This is over 20 years ago. This is when independent publishing houses like Grove Atlantic, who I love and adore with, Cold Mountain, New York Times bestseller. Okay. At the same time, this is basic 101 distribution, guys. Amazon is in the garage doing something with Lightning Source, doing something with print on demand, and then the book retailer. Let's remember a book retailer. Walden Pond, Barnes and Noble, Borders, Amazon. Okay. Angela Engel, young woman, decides, hey, we should sell books outside of the book trade. I pitched the idea to Ingram. They create a job for me. I'm selling to Anthropology. I'm selling to Papyrus. I'm flying to Guadalajara, selling to books. Seriously, setting up a whole huge booth with librarians selling Silver Dolphin, which happened to have a Spanish language edition that was in Costco. Okay, fast forward. I then am at some of the greatest publishing houses in lifestyle and traditional. Okay, I'm getting from What Color's Your Parachute to Rick Bowles in Target to Chronicle Books. I can name the great books I've sold there, from Top Chef Cookbook to, I can't even go there, right? Like the Pregnancy Journal, which has sold over millions of copies. And I love this art form. I love creating books. I love working with the editorial team, the writers, packagers. I love the smell of paper. And I have to say, in all of this time, there was a bunch of people like Alexa who are going to be at your conference saying, it's taking too long. What is wrong with the access? What is wrong with these people who are not letting us in? So self-publishing merged out of a need from really human beings say, it's not fair. You're taking too long. You're asking us for a lifetime of your intellectual property for, at best, 10% of net sales. That is crazy. And I usually have to wait 3 years to get that deal. So I actually applaud a lot of the women here who pioneered well before me to leave the traditional space and to do something and to answer it. But I thought it was time. So I was doing business development with Cameron and Company, and I love that company, part of Abrams. And I was like, and I really was like, hey, what is going on, guys? Because if we don't preserve, and Kate said this best, if we don't preserve the art of the book and allow to get, if someone wants their book to be like HarperCollins Kids, Simon and Schuster Kids, we can provide that. And I think Diane said it best. I mean, I have an author, he was on Simon and Schuster's Kids, and we're doing his book. It's coming out in June because he wanted this to own the rights. He had bought these beautiful illustrations, and I own the inventory, but I call myself a partnership publishing house. And I think part of it is what Danielle said, I was laughing. I mean, I think people see me, I'm on camera, right? I love it. You pay your hairdresser, you pay your car wash, you need to pay an editor, pay an illustrator for what they're worth. So when Ron brought me this project, and this is, I'm going to show, it's so cute. It's Once a Bear, and we loved the illustrations. They were gorgeous. We were like, oh my, I was like, let's partner, Ron. You don't need the royalty. He'll benefit off the royalty. He doesn't need the advance. And instead, we can make it, right? We have all the packaging. We know how to make a book. We have the editorial department. We have people on staff. So what I encourage everyone to understand is, like Alexa said, is do your research. And what does distribution mean? It is extremely costly, meaning I have to also make money. So yes, it's a 50-50 split. There is oftentimes, my ideal client is an entrepreneur, a creative, a museum, an institution, and then or they have a business, restaurants, they might be, I have a great cookbook coming out called 52 Shabbats, and she has been writing for years. She's a columnist, a food writer, and she was just exhausted. I mean, she gets published, she get paid to write, and she does food tours, but she doesn't have maybe the latest TikTok account, and making weird recipes on TikTok. So she's not getting picked up by the big five. And that is, to me, you're a great writer and you want to invest in your work and you want to pay the photographer to take beautiful pictures, which she did, and because you can use those on your website and you can elevate your brand and your business and get more clients to go on your food walk tours. That's my best client. They're ones who are in partnership to move the needle in their business and how I can help a book elevate them. And I always say to my clients, if you alone can't sell 500 to 1,000 books yourself, then I'm probably not the right model for you. Because I have to do evaluation because our print runs minimum have to be about 3,500. Typically, I like to start at 4,000, but because we need mass to make money in the trade because we're in trade distribution. So I have a book going into Target, in stores on a Mother's Day end cap, and just alone they need 2,500 for that end cap, and that we'll have 12,500 in print. So it's just I have a very different model in that way. So when we evaluate authors or submissions, we also have to evaluate sellability. And I also expect my authors to be able to sell at least 500 to 1,000 on their own.
So
did that answer your question?
Yes. So I'm just going to quickly, make this distinction, and I will have already, by the time this comes out, covered a little bit of the difference in Publishing 101. So I won't get too deep into this, but basically the difference is that a lot of all self-publishing assist and many hybrid publishers work off of the print on demand system. So your book gets loaded, it gets spread out, to all the retailers who want to buy it. If somebody orders a book on Amazon or orders a book here, or orders wherever it's available to, it prints and ships to them. With traditional distribution, the publisher is actually purchasing thousands of copies of books in the beginning. They're working with a distribution company who usually has a sales force who goes out and pitches your book into places and sells it. So it's a much, much, much more expensive process, which explains why it's so hard to get traditionally published, because a traditional publisher is looking to invest, probably $20,000 per author, if not more, for children's book authors, and they're like $20,000 to $50,000.
Yeah.
So when you're getting upset that your book isn't getting picked up by traditional authors, and you say, well, I don't understand why they need me to have an audience, and I don't understand why I have to be on TikTok. That's why. It's a business and it has to make the money back. So you have to be able to sell, as Angela said, at least 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 copies of your book. So just a little, I think that's a really important piece for people to understand when you come into this. It also answers the question of when you're coming to ask one of these ladies, will my book be available in my local bookstore? Will my book be available here? Will my book be available here? In theory, your book can be available anywhere, but they have to know to go look for it, or you have to have traditional distribution that markets it and sells it and places it in stores.
Yeah, Alexa, can I ask, there's also something called Edelweiss, which is a huge digital catalog. And if you're in the self-publishing world, you don't have access to that.
Right.
So I, of course, this is really geeky, guys, but like for us, when you come to us and you get picked up on our trade list, you're an Edelweiss, meaning we are uploading, we are creating video, we have DNCs, we have our, not only IPG has a membership, but I pay my own membership, right? And I pay for every single book. So traditional publishing, it is a really big and vast model. And if you can, what I have said is why I call myself not hybrid, and I really hate the word vanity. I actually think we should just throw that in the garbage, because that is not existing anymore.
Right.
I call myself partnership publishing. Yes, it's going to cost you money. I think Kate said this the best. If you think in traditional publishing, they're not going to expect you to pay for your launch party from your advances, from your 6-figure deal. If they don't think that they're going to expect you to go out there, probably hire your own publicist. Most of my friends who have traditional publishing, they hire their own publicist that costs close to $3,500 to $5,000 to even up to $8,000 a month.
A month, right?
A month. I just want to be very clear that when I talk about, yes, is my model, is there investment? Absolutely. But the amount of time it takes to also, you don't put me on retainer, right? You're my publisher, you're my author. I'm not on any retainer. And so I don't just give up on you after 90 days. I mean, we have to sell your book. We have to succeed. We have to keep going. We have to think about, oh, it's Mother's Day. What books do I have that have to do with Mother's Day? Oh, it's, other things. It's Father's Day or it's Christmas. Like, that's who you want to be with, and that's what these ladies can provide. I think is so you're not alone, essentially.
Well, it's a lot to learn. And to that other point, I mean, I'm still learning. I'm still learning every day. I'm learning new things that I didn't know or understand or was doing backwards. And I'm like, oh crap, I can't believe we did that, on whatever. Like, there's so much to learn. So if you decide to indie publish, if you decide I'm going at this on my own, you have basically just decided that you need to learn 500 years of publishing expertise. So there's a cost to that too. Let me tell you, there's a cost to that. So I think this gave a really, really great look at how much variety there is out there in the publishing industry, how many different types of companies you can work with, that they have specialty areas, special authors, all of those things. So everybody should at least feel empowered now to ask more questions. And these ladies will be in office hours tomorrow. It'll be the day after today's, and then noon office hours. So I think everybody's Kate won't be able to be there because she's in Australia and it'll be a ridiculous time. If anyone else can't be there, we will have everyone's contact information. You can reach out to each of these ladies and talk to them more. So don't, ask the questions, find out more, dig in, figure out your goals, what it is you're trying to achieve. And ask the questions. So to wrap this up, I would really like everybody to have the opportunity to share your best piece of advice for new authors, what you really want them to know. And then of course, make sure you wrap it up with where they can, your best place for them to find you easily, so they can jot that down quickly as well. All right, Jennifer.
Okay, thanks. So I would say my top tip is to understand the incredible power that you as an author have with this wonderful tool you're creating your book. Understand that it's not just about making money. Your book may help launch your speaking career. It might help launch your media career. You're going to help and reach more people than you could ever help one-on-one. You could promote your business like our business books. You can share your story like our memoirs. You can do children's books and help children learn to love to read. So it's with any endeavor, it's important to know what the benefits are so far beyond money. Your book is your ticket to so many great ways to help other people, help yourself, help your business. Thanks for considering my company. You can find Bright Communications at brightcommunications.net.
Thank you so much. All right, and Cynthia has an entire presentation in the children's book track. If you haven't seen that yet, I think it either goes up this morning as well, or will be up in this afternoon's block, I believe. Check the schedule, but lots of great information there. You'll learn lots more about her and her soothing voice, y'all. I could listen to you talk all day. I'm just gonna listen to your interview when I need to go to sleep, because it's like, all right.
I love it.
What's your best tip?
Gosh, there are so many tips I could give. I think for authors, though, if you can narrow down and really hone in on your why, the reason that you wrote this book in the first place, the reason that you want to share it with other people, that will help you to identify the core meaning of your story and what you want to share with the world. And that will help your publisher, if you decide to work with a publisher, one of these awesome ladies or ourselves, to get your book out into the world in a way that is authentic to you, in a way that is authentic to the voice that you wrote it in. Or if you want to do it yourself, it will help you to identify how you want to market and share that book so that you can talk to the people who need the book that you wrote, which is essential when you want to talk about moving books and getting your story and your voice and your thoughts and your ideas out into the world so that you can help other people. If you are interested in some of the information that we have on LaunchCrate, we actually started or created a quick start guide just for those of you that are attending the Women in Publishing Summit. So if you go to launchcrate.com/WIP 2021, WIP 2021, you should be able to sign up really quickly for our free PDF and get some quick tips on how to publish. And feel free to ask any questions that you have. Our job and our goal is to help, again, flip the publishing industry on end, and we can only do that if we know what questions you have so that we can help you get those answers.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Diane. And Diane does all kinds of fun other things too, like book trailers and Amazon ads and fun stuff. So
Yeah.
before you start, I don't want to forget to say this. We will be providing a service providers directory to the attendees. So everybody's information will also be in that directory. We'll make that available so that you don't have to jot down all these. We'll have it all for you. So I should have probably said that at the beginning. But all right, Diane.
Thanks, Alexa. Yeah, so like Cynthia just mentioned, having your why is so helpful, and writing everything down so that you know exactly how to target your best reader. And that's one thing that we provide at Motina Books. I've got a free downloadable book marketing planner. If you go to motinabooks.com, MOTINA books, then you'll be able to download it. And yep, I had another thing in my head and it's gone, of course, because you know that happens. So, but that's it.
Thank you so much, Diane.
Thanks.
And Kate.
Okay, my tip would be, you've got you're here, you're at the summit, so you are already invested in your book and invested in learning, which is fantastic. Like, kudos to you for everyone watching for actually signing up and committing the time to attend the summit. So you have access to an amazing group of experts who, and we're actually all very happy to help. So just ask questions. Ask questions go to one of the office hours, ask anything, ask questions in the Facebook group. The supportive atmosphere in the summit I've never seen anywhere else. And so don't feel people say this all the time, but there's no stupid question. If you want to know the answer to something, I guarantee there'll be someone else in the community that goes, oh, thank you for asking that. And you will meet amazing people and you will get amazing answers. So just don't hesitate to ask for help. We love to help. So that's generally why most of us started in publishing, because we want to help. So ask. And you can find me and all about Old Mate Media at justoldmatemedia.com.
Thank you so much, Kate. That was a really nice thing for you to say too, because that is really our goal, is to provide a place where people feel like they can, good Lord, if I could count the number of hours and dollars I've made in mistakes. Like, ask your questions, please. Ask all of us. All right, Angela.
Hi. Okay. So I think, Cynthia, I loved your idea of the why. And I think that that is a great advice for authors. I always say my clients, my authors choose us as much as we choose them. And I think that it's really important to do the research. I think,
Mhm.
Alexa, you said this best. It's like, what is your goal? Okay. What is your why and what is your goal? And then make sure whether that be your agent and you want the traditional route, whether that be a publisher, whether that be the full traditional with distribution or a service publisher, DIYing it yourself, that you understand your team. Because even if you're going to DIY, everybody needs an editor. And
Mhm.
please do not Google it. Please, please, I'm begging you. Instead, you are at this summit. Come to office hours. Kate just said, I'm sorry you can't be there, Kate, but we will be there. These women, and we do not need to get paid to tell you, tell us your idea, tell us what you're doing, and we will find you the right service and the right editor because
Love it.
everybody needs one, me, myself included, right? And I'm a comparative lit and creative writer major, and I need a huge editor when I write because creative writing, there's no such thing as punctuation. And yet there's something called a copy editor, a proofreader, a developmental editor. So that's my advice. I'm so happy to actually, I don't do memoir and biographies, and yet I met Cynthia today, this morning, and now I'm already thinking of my submissions, who I might want to send over. Danielle, I definitely don't do, not in the faith space. And I was just on a Clubhouse call about like Spring Arbor and letting people know about that. And so really also come to office hours if you want to talk distribution. There are actually a lot of avenues to get there in small independent presses as well, that I think, and also don't just look at the big five. I have great friends, and it's Counterpoint Books here in the Bay Area. There's Rare Bird Lit down in LA. Love those ladies. Like, know your genre, because there are some great independent small presses in particular niches that you probably could, that I want to help guide them as well. Alexa, I want to make sure that authors know about those as well. So anyway, thank you. So I love this. Ask questions and everyone needs an editor. That's my advice.
Amen. You know what? We had originally had the publishers into the morning block. We may have to set up a separate room because as you were speaking, I was thinking that's really a really great opportunity for people to pop in and ask specific questions of publishers as well. So stay tuned. We'll try and get that set up in time to make that work. But what a great idea. I mean, it's been said by multiple people here. I mean, the reason that many of us started this is because we saw a need that we had that we wanted to fill. And all of us, I think, are teachers in what we do. All of us are teaching our clients through it. And I know that's one of our major focuses is teaching people how to be successful authors and what you need to know and all of those things without saying you need to know exactly what an ISBN is for, because you really don't. I'll take care of that for you. But those types of things. So I love that message. I'm glad you said that because that's going to provide an even better networking opportunity tomorrow for people to come in and talk to publishers. And we'll just have to send everybody who wants to talk to Kate like directly to Kate. Okay, finally, but certainly not last, my new BFF in the world, Danielle.
Yes, yes, yes. So Angela took mine, right? About hiring an editor. So I'm going to echo her really quickly and say hire an editor. But my tip would be to just find what works for you. There is something out there for everybody. Just like if you have a pair of shoes that doesn't fit, you go on and you find another pair. I use this tagline that there's more to the story. So whatever your story is, there's certainly more to it. There is marketing that can be added to it. There's editing that needs to happen to it. There are more audiences to be reached with your story. So whatever that more is, to pursue it, there's yet more. And then in terms of connecting with me, I am on social media as Evie Danny B. So that's EVYDANIB. I am not on TikTok, but I am trying to figure out how I can dance on Reels or something right now, just because that's the space. My website is evydanibooks.com. So it's EVYDANI books.com. And I'm elated that you have made the first step or the next step of your writing journey with attending the summit and coming to office hours when we get there, because I'm just coming for the fun and the knowledge. I have like 2 pages of notes just from today alone. So I already know that my notebook is going to be filled by the end of this week. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, let me just say there's so much information, like it's incredibly overwhelming and it's inspiring. And I think that's really, I mean, if 2020 did nothing else, it really taught us how much we need our community and how much we need our support networks. And I think that's actually made my job a lot easier this year because everybody is seeking that and that's what they're pouring into, which is awesome. So this was really, really a phenomenal discussion panel. I think we probably could have gone on for about 3 days with all the information, but please do reach out to these ladies individually if they resonated with you and think could be a great partner for you, if nothing else, to help connect you to resources or work with them or whatever you may need. And we will see you all hopefully again, depending on when you're watching this, in the office hours with the publishers. Again, everything will be recorded. I don't know if the office hours will be recorded. I can't promise that. Edit that out, please. So yes, this has been phenomenal. I thank you all very much for all your time, your energy, your resources, and being willing to share. And have a great afternoon.